Hello, and welcome to the 2021 election forum for the District 4 City Council contest in College Park. My name is Mark Goodson, and I am the managing editor for the College Park Here and Now. I will be facilitating this discussion. Joining me are incumbent District 4 City Council members Maria Mackey and Denise Mitchell. As residents of District 4 may select two candidates on their ballots, this election is considered an uncontested election. Still, it is important for all residents to know the council members who represent them, and it is important for council members to hear from the residents they represent. This forum is brought to you solely by Streetcar Suburbs Publishing, a 501c3 nonprofit corporation. Streetcar has three outlets: the Hyattsville Life and Times and College Park Here and Now, which are nationally recognized print newspapers delivered once a month to each city respectively, and a website, streetcarsuburbs.news. This forum is being recorded on Zoom, but the uninterrupted recording will be broadcast on the Here and Now's Facebook page. It will then be made available on the website, streetcarsuburbs.news. The newspaper will also have a print version of a Q&A for all candidates, published in the October edition. Candidates will have time to introduce themselves and answer questions. The questions and topics are informed by the newspaper's coverage of the city. Additionally, the Here and Now sought questions and topics from residents. Some of these questions will be asked as well. This will be the first time each candidate hears each question. So let's welcome council members Denise Mitchell and Maria Mackey. Hello, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having us. Appreciate it.
The first questions here are just ways for voters to get to know you a little bit better, to get to know your service to the city, and to get to know what you're concerned about in your upcoming 2-year term. And the first question will begin with Mrs. Mackey.
Yes, thank you. And thank you everyone for coming to hear us speak tonight. I just want to thank the District 4 residents for giving me the opportunity to represent them on City Council for these past 2 years. I also want to thank my colleagues and community leaders and leaders in the county and state for working with me and giving me guidance to represent the people of District 4 on City Council. My first term has been mostly during the pandemic, and so it has been something very different, but a great learning experience for me. But one of the committees that I got to serve on was the CARES Act committee, and I was able to work with my colleagues to see how to distribute the CARES Act money that we got from the county. I also worked with my colleague in District 4 and also the county and state legislators to prevent our students in elementary school from being bused to a school very far away. I spent a lot of time working with my colleagues, developing a 5-year strategic plan, choosing a new city manager, and navigating 2 budget sessions. I want to just tell the people of District 4 that I am very passionate about this job. It's not a job for me, it's a service, and I feel very blessed to be able to do this. And I want you to know that College Park has been my home for almost 50 years, and I really do care a lot about College Park. And I want to work with the residents, with my colleagues in the city, in the county, and in the state to make College Park a place that other people want to call home. I'm very passionate about a lot of things, but the thing that I'm most passionate about is serving faithfully the people of District 4 and all of College Park. I hope I get an opportunity later on to talk more about the different things that we're working on. And thank you very much for listening. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Mackey. And Mrs. Mitchell, do you care to introduce yourself?
Sure, thank you. My name is Denise Mitchell, and I too would like to thank the College Park Here and Now for this opportunity tonight to talk about my candidacy. I've been a member of the community for almost 40 years and a leader for almost 10 years, serving on the City Council and making an impact. I work with neighbors to increase accessibility of our council meetings, creating a business roundtable, and have also worked with our faith-based leaders to create a council to better unify the city. This past year was difficult due to both the pandemic and our fight against social injustice. We need to continue to work on both of these issues. Having been at the forefront of working with community leaders on both of these, it's important that we have elected officials who know how to best serve the community in these times. Together, we can establish tax credits for long-term residents and those with electric cars to incentivize smart growth while creating One College Park, a community where everyone is included in the growth of our city. In conclusion, again, my name is Denise Mitchell. I'm seeking re-election for the City College Park City Council District 4. I hope I have your support, but most importantly, your vote on November 7th, 2021. And I look forward to the continued dialogue tonight. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Mitchell. And we will start the next question with you. And it's another introductory question, but I think the audience might want to know, in your next 2 years, what is the single issue that is most pressing to you? What are you looking forward to the most to tackle?
Oh, thank you for the question. Um, I'm looking forward to tackling quality of life. And when I talk about quality of life, we talk about affordable housing for our residents who are here and moving into the city, our students, as well as those who are aging in place. So I want to make sure that in conjunction with our strategic plan, we actually solidify a plan and an implementation process so that we can make an impact within these 5 years. It's important that I have a strategic plan, but to execute one is very important for me. So it's about quality of life for our residents here.
Thank you for that. And Mrs. Mackey, what is the most important concern for you heading into your next 2 terms, assuming you'd be elected?
Yes. Well, as I stated earlier, College Park has been my home for 50 years, and it was a great place to grow up as a kid and to raise a family and to age. And that is very important to me, that we are addressing people of all different walks of life, all different ages, and helping them to really love living in College Park. Um, so I too think that the strategic plan will really work to solidify those goals. Um, and I think that we can work along with our partners in the county and in the state to bring a lot of wonderful opportunities in College Park. And so my goal is really to work to make College Park a place where people, can live at all different ages, as far as young people raising children, and this is not easy. Older people aging at home, and so we have a big job ahead of us. And so hopefully we can work together and move forward on this. Thank you.
No, thank you, Mrs. Mackey. And you will take the lead on the next question. That last question looked forward to the next 2 years. If you look back on the last 2 years, and in particular looking at the city council and what it did, and your district, District 4, what is one issue that was unresolved that you hope can be retabled or is important to you that still needs addressing for District 4 residents?
One of the issues that hasn't been completely resolved, that we've really just started on, is just the issue of making our neighborhood sustainable. And we just, I guess it was 2 weeks ago, really started the conversation on that. And I'm really looking forward to us growing that conversation. One of the things that I think is really important is that our neighborhoods are a place of where we have cooperation between short-term residents, between long-term residents, between landlords, between homeowners, and that our neighborhoods are kept safe and beautiful, and places that are clean, and where children can play, and where older people can take a stroll. So it's very important to me that we didn't get to go as far as we wanted to on this, and we had other issues that we had to deal with. But I'm really hoping that in the next 2 years we can address the whole neighborhood sustainability. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Mrs. Mackey. And Mrs. Mitchell, the same question to you. Looking back on the last 2 years, what is an issue that was not resolved to your satisfaction for the residents of District 4?
Thank you for that question. First, I'm going to continue on Councilmember Mackey's discussion about sustainability, which is important for us, especially in District 4. If you know that we have College Park Woods, Crystal Springs, and Otterville and Cherry Hill, and there's an increased number of rentals versus property owners. And so sustainability is very important. And I think looking at the next 2 years, what I would like to institute is an ambassador program where we have students who live in the neighborhood, maybe can work with us as council members to help. Sometimes we may talk a different language. So having those ambassadors to help work with the students who live in our home, the rental properties, to get them to understand what it means to live in a community. And hopefully that will help them to want to actually engage with the rest of our community and work through our neighborhood watch, as also our civic association. Something else that I want to touch upon that we didn't really get to work on is the issue of stormwater management. We live in a community that was built in 1962. In the last 18 months I would say, last 18 months, we have seen an increased incident of flooding in our neighborhoods. So I would like for us to have some type of solution, working with our external stakeholders, such as the county and the state, to have some type of remedy in regards to that. And many of the long-term residents who've been here, I know truly appreciate that, as well as those who are just moving in.
No, thank you, Mrs. Mitchell, for that response. And you will be able to take the lead here on the next question. And the next question comes from a District 4 resident who submitted a question through our online forum. This question comes from Pat Smith of District 4. And Pat writes, there is a discussion of a new high school being built near the College Park Woods neighborhood and a potential road being built to access it. Do you support or oppose this, and why?
And thank you for that question. I oppose this development. I've lived here since 1975. I did not have the opportunity to matriculate at Cherokee or Buck Lodge. The concern is it would cause a great influx in our community. It would cause an influx as far as the climate change, as far as the road being built. The concern is that District 4, as well as the city, has not had the opportunity to be a part of the discussion. And that should not have happened. We should have been there at the table from the beginning. So now we're fighting to raise our voices of concern with the school system. And that's not how we operate. If we talk about operating in a collaborative and transparent manner, we should have been operating together to find a solution for a good school. As my council member said, that we both worked on making sure that our children who live in District 4 do not go to South County to school this year. So we fought and found a location at St. Mark's. So that same fight we could have done in order to figure out a plausible way to help the overcrowding in the Prince George's County schools. So no, I'm not for this, and I am fighting against this project.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Mitchell. And the same question to you, Mrs. Mackey.
Yes, thank you. I also oppose this vehemently, and for many of the same reasons that my colleague mentioned, but for some additional reasons also. One of the really big things is that I believe that I actually went to Cherokee Lane, Buck Lodge, and High Point, and I believe that it's time to fix High Point and fix it where it is. And it's got a great location, and it needs to be fixed. I know there's some issues, but it can be fixed, and it can be made bigger and new, and new things can be incorporated into the school. Also, there's a big environmental implication about putting a high school on the Cherokee Lane site. There is a magnolia bog, which is probably the only magnolia bog inside the Beltway, located at that site. there is an underground stream and a small creek there where that actually run into College Park Woods. And the pollution that will be coming off a road would be running that water into College Park Woods. Another thing is that there will be noise pollution as well as air pollution. And I think that it would be something that is just not good for the community that is College Park Woods and other communities. I think that it will be making a lot of traffic on Metzeroth Road and will affect our University of Maryland partners. And it's a bad idea. I'm not against public schools. If we need a new public school built, let's find a place that's more equitable and a better place for the students and closer to where they live. And so I am vehemently opposed. My colleague and I are working with whoever will work with us to try to get this stopped. So thank you for bringing that question forward, Mr. Smith.
And thank you, Mrs. Mackey, for answering it. And this question now leads again with you first, Mrs. Mackey. And as you know, and as you actually mentioned tonight, the city's 5-year strategic plan includes an emphasis on schools. In the next 5 years, what does supporting District 4 resident students look like to you?
Yes, thank you. This is one of my passions, and I was just really proud of the city council for putting uh, something so controversial but so good for our young people in that we're going to get involved in schools. We're a city, we don't run the schools, we work with the county, but we're going to advocate for the schools and for the children. So one of the things that I think is really important is to make sure that children are literate before the 3rd grade. It's very important in our schools that they're getting the education that they need to be able to read so that they can read to learn, because after the 3rd grade they really have to be good readers. So I've been an advocate of that. I've also an advocate of this working with the city committee, the educational advisory committee, on distributing books and doing other things in our school system as the city can to increase learning. We have talked about increasing parent involvement by possibly subsidizing PTA costs. There's a lot of things that we can do. We don't have a big budget like PG school systems do, but hopefully we can work with them to help them to understand some of the issues that are facing our children, and then we can solve them on the small scale here in College Park, and it can be brought into the county. So that's what I would really like to see. I would love for College Park to be a leader in PG County education, so that our kids, not only in College Park, but in all of PG County, can once again be top students in Maryland. I went to High Point High School. This was before Eleanor Roosevelt was built. And I got a very good education. I was well prepared for college. And I want to see all of our PG County students get the same opportunity that I had. So I think the city can be a leader in that and be a good example to the rest of the county. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Mackey. And the same question to you, Mrs. Mitchell.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for that question, because my field is in early childhood, and I just retired almost 30 years working with children, trying to get them school ready. Um, there's a couple of things I want to mention about this, and that is the fact that, number one, we currently have the county school system currently has a redistricting plan, and that redistricting plan affects District 4 in many ways. You're talking about almost 3 school board members for one district. So when there are concerns that are raised, we have to talk to 3 different individuals instead of having one. So I think that's one thing that we need to work on and come to the table with the school board in regards to that. I say that because that will help facilitate better engagement with the school board, as well as our plan for execution of having a quality educational system here in College Park. The City College Park through the Education Advisory Committee has made a commitment to help elevate the educational growth of our children in our schools by number one, giving money to our schools that have children over 14 children, which is like Cherokee, Bug Lodge. You have Hollywood Paint Branch to help with their extracurricular activities. But in order to make an impact, you have to be able to show what our vision is for the future. And again, underscoring that means literacy, parent engagement, and also um, a better after school program, as well as some of our children are needing additional nutritional programs, so feeding for them before and after care. So having that partnership with the Prince George's County Public Schools is essential, but we have to have one person to talk to and not three. And we have to be able to have continued conversations and dialogue on a quarterly basis. And that impact needs to be elevated to the other members of the school board in order for us to be a proficient and a city that really shows quality in the children. We have also filtered that down into early childhood. So we do have a child care center on Calvert Road, and we have the Monarch Preschool. So the City College Park really is putting its money and its values in education, and we just need to make sure our external stakeholders and the ones such as the university work with us and help us push our dialogue further.
Thank you, Mrs. Mitchell. And you anticipated my next question, which is also to you. The upcoming redistricting, there is also a lot of upcoming rezoning. And I think there are a lot of parents who, because of what has happened recently, they're concerned that their children may be uprooted and their commute time might be burdensome all of a sudden out of nowhere. You began to answer this question by mentioning having a more direct line of communication with the school board. Is there anything you'd like to add, particularly to families who are concerned that where their child is in school right now might not be where they're in school, say, next year?
Yes, and thank you for that. I am concerned. Yes, everyone knows the school system is in flux. The school system has been in flux ever since I've been in Prince George's County, lived here since 1975. And it seems that it's not getting better, it's getting worse. So as a parent who has children and who moved in College Park and you see that their children, the school that they go, maybe Highsville Middle they're going to this year, then next year they may be going to Goddard. That's a lot. That's a great impact on families. They either have to get up early to get their children to school, um, or children are on buses longer. That's a lot for a family to sacrifice. So all they want is their child to have a quality education. As municipalities, I feel it's incumbent upon us to raise our voices to make sure the county council and the school board understands our concerns. Collectively, together, we can do a lot. 27 municipalities in Prince George's County. We're just one part of it. But I feel as though if we are the leader, then others will follow. We have to start raising our voices. We have to start demanding better from our CEO, better from our school board members, so that we can have a better quality educational system for our children. It's not fair nor is it right for any parent to have to choose how am I going to go to work, get my child to school, or if I put my child on a bus, they're on a bus for an hour in the morning or maybe an hour and a half in the evening. Parents should not have to deal with that. That's stress. And that stress levels fell on the children because they feel that maybe they are the cost of all this, and they should not. This is their formative years. They should be having a fun time in school, learning the ABCs, learning how to read, coming home, just excited. But everyone in the family should be excited about their children learning. And we just have to do better, and we have to work harder to extend ourselves to our stakeholders and ensure that they hear us, that there has to be something has to be done. And that means our school board members need to meet with municipal leaders to give us the information and not at the last minute or not why, excuse me, I'm a little bit funny. I'm at Shoppers and I have a parent run up to me. Did you know or did you hear about the redistricting plan? And what is the city going to do about it? We should have that information in front of us first so we can collectively make a response and work with the school system.
Thank you, Mrs. Mitchell, very much. Mrs. Mackey.
Yes, I echo what my colleague has shared so much. And I think it's really important that we as a city, we look out for our residents. We advocate for our residents and we fight for our residents. I think that it's very important that the city is engaged at the very beginning in this redistricting issue for schools. To me, I think that it's very important that children have continuity and that they continue to go to the school that they started at. I think that those things need to be taken into consideration. I don't have a lot to add to what she said. What I think is really, really important is that we as a city are there and that we're engaged and that we're looking out for our residents, our young residents that should be learning and not worrying about are they going to have to make new friends and take a different bus and what disruptions there's going to be to their family. I think it's very important for us as city leaders to call our school system out and say, let's work together and find good answers to this problem. So I'm right there with my colleague on that. And I think that we can work together as a city and really help our families, our students. Thank you.
No, thank you, Mrs. Mackey. And as usual here, we'll return to you for the next question first response. This is another question from a resident of College Park. Karen Keating writes, what will you do in the next 2 years to access the wants and needs of District 4 residents?
Thank you. And I thank you for that question. That's a great question. And that is really why I ran for council, is to represent the wants and needs of the residents of District 4. And I think that I have done some, but I can do better. And I think we can always do better. And so one of the things that I would really like to do is be more engaging with the residents. And when I say more engaging, I want to do more like meetings. We've been limited with the coronavirus and having to stay isolated, but we're opening up a little bit more. And even if we have to do it on Zoom, um, I'm not a super techie person, but I've gotten used to these Zoom meetings. And I think that we can really engage. And I think that that's what I'd like to do. One of the things that I've really tried to do too is get to know people that live in all different parts of the district. And not just where I live, and listen to what concerns they have and different needs that they have. So the answer to me to that question is that I need to be a better communicator with my residents, and I need to really facilitate opportunities for them to talk to me and get information to me. And also one of the things that is really important is that we get the truth out there and be very transparent to our residents so that they know what's going on. And so that's one of the things that I want to do better at. And I think that I am going to do better at it because it's so needed in our city. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much, Mrs. Mackey. And same question to you, Mrs. Mitchell.
Thank you for that question. Engagement, ever since I have been on the council since 2009, I've always tried to make sure that I've engaged the residents in my district. With this pandemic, it's taught me that sometimes you got to pivot with every what the current situation dictates. I do a weekly email blast to inform the residents of where it's on the council docket. Of late, we have used Zoom, and like my council member says, getting very savvy with Zoom is becoming the forte, and increase upon that. I think also something that I am going to do in conjunction with the weekly email blast is use Facebook, doing FaceTime and talking about the upcoming briefings. as well as trying to do some actual small Saturday morning coffee clubs with our residents. Because a lot of residents do want to get out and have coffee with them and have a topic, talk about maybe transportation at this coffee club meeting on a Saturday and get their ideas about what their concerns are, or go into regards to, of course, rental properties for another topic. In addition to that, I would also like to implement, I talked about ambassadors for our student rentals to get their feedback, but also I would like to put in a system such as text messaging for us in regards to getting information out to residents that need to be immediate, such as if there's an accident, such as if there is a game day. When we were playing couple 2 weeks ago, and I had to rush downtown to get back uptown to make sure before the game started because of the traffic. But having a text message system to tell residents, look, traffic's on Route 1, it's from 6 to 9, don't go that way, go to alternative routes. So I want to try to use all the systems I can as far as engaging residents, to make sure that they are informed. But I'm here to listen to them, and they know my door is always open, and they can call me.
Thank you, Mrs. Mitchell. And if you're referencing the Maryland-Iowa game, I think we should have been telling folks to turn around a lot sooner than that.
I wasn't going to say that, but see, I didn't go to Maryland. I went to Jersey. So.
Okay, yeah. Just had to lighten the mood a little bit at some point.
I understand.
That was an easy one. You know, you laid that up for me. But Mrs. Mitchell, this next question is for you, and I wanted to return to what you said was a main goal of yours, and that was helping residents who have experienced flash floods and issues like that. So we have heard from a lot of residents in District 4 and throughout the city who have this problem. And many of them have not had any luck filing claims with the Prince George's County of Emergency Management or the Washington Suburban Sanitary Commission. So the question is, what would you say to residents who have had this problem for a while and have not seen any action on behalf of the powers that be?
Thank you for the question. So that's a question near my heart because I too am in that current situation. My house is at the hill, so I get all the water coming down, and I say that because it's frustrating. When you talk to the powers that be, such as the state and other entities, it's frustrating to hear the same repeated statement that we're working on it. They've been working on it since 2009, and evidently, I don't know if someone forgot that you can't say that any longer. Uh, we have a great asset here in the city, our city engineer, Mr. Steve Halperin, who helps us as council members to navigate through the powers that be. But in order for us to be successful, we have to ask what we want specifically. And I think that's not what has been done in the past, especially in District 4. We have concentrated in Old Town because of their issues, but District 4 issues and other surrounding entities such as District 1 and District 2 has not been coupled that together. So when the county and other entities hear issues of stormwater in College Park, they already assume we're talking about downtown in District 3. So we need to be better advocates of voicing our concern and voicing our ask and specifics. What do we need? Do we need people to come out to look at all the houses and do a survey? From there, what's the next steps? So we need to be specific in our ask, and I think this time we have a very good council, and I think we can make some headway this time.
Thank you, Mrs. Mitchell, and Mrs. Mackey, the same question.
Yes, thank you very much. And this is definitely an issue that is really kind of it's a tragic thing for me to see that these people that have to, every time it rains, they have to be down in their basement with a shop vac or making sure their sump pump is working, and it didn't used to be like that. And it's a lot of things, and I really would like for the city to actually set up. There's a lot of people that are interested in this, and really set up a committee or a commission or a group of people that will work with Steve Halpern, that will work with the county, and really address the problem. Another problem we have is we have so much more impermeable surfaces than we did in 2009. And that is adding to our water, and plus, weather changes. And so we have to address all those issues. And there are a lot of entities out there that that can be our resources. I actually sit on a Council of Government committee, which is the Chesapeake Bay Policy Committee, and they deal a lot with stormwater. And I asked for some help, and they gave me some suggestions, and I'm going to bring those to Steve, and hopefully he can help navigate this, just this horrible problem that people have. I know that my council colleague and I went and we watched, somebody had actually on their phone shown what their backyard looks like during a storm, and it looks like a rushing river. And so that's just not acceptable. It's very unhealthy. We talk about mold. It's unhealthy for everybody to be in a wet kind of basement. And so this is something that I really want to see addressed. And I'm hoping that the city will really put this as a priority, and that we will really be able to work towards getting some answers. And I think there's good answers out there. And I think that when we work together and we really push, that we will get some things done.
Thank you, Mrs. Mackey. And the next question will be your start. We've been hearing from many residents who are concerned about the university's plan to reappropriate the Paint Branch Golf Complex. While the complex is most directly under the jurisdiction of Maryland National Park and Planning Commission, the city's District 4 practically surrounds it. What do you see the city's role in this issue?
Okay, well, this is a really tough one. And this one is really near and dear to us in District 4, because we have our Ottoville community and College Park Woods butts up against the Paint Branch golf course. So one of the things that I see as really being a problem is that we really, really need to engage the residents in the policy making, in the actual plans. And that really wasn't done. There was a report, there were two meetings, and they did take into consideration some of the things that the residents said, but the residents weren't there at the beginning. And I think that's a mistake that that they made in doing the Paint Branch redo, as they called it. And one of the things that is really concerning is that it's another impermeable surface in a wetland. And I don't see that being a good thing. I'm very, very concerned about this, because I'm very concerned about the noise pollution, the light pollution, the water issues. And I'm concerned with the fact that I was as a council member, I wasn't brought to the table. Neither were the residents brought to the table at the beginning. So I think this is something that we need to work with the University of Maryland and see if we can find a better alternative than putting a non-permeable surface in the Paint Branch area. And because we have to be mindful of, these are people's homes, and they don't want to be their home to be lose its value, to not be a nice place to live anymore, because there's so much noise pollution and light pollution. So I think we have to address all those issues. This is a very controversial issue. I think that if we work together and start at ground zero and let people's voices be heard, that we can solve this problem. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Mackey. And the same question to you, Mrs. Mitchell.
Thank you for that question. I knew we were going to have that question. I just knew it. But it's okay. There's a couple of things and that Councilman Mackey pointed, and I just want to go back. previous years, we had the big discussion with the university in regards to the University of Maryland golf course being the first um, uh, piece of the discussion in regards to their plans for the extracurricular activities. And the residents in College Park Woods, as Crystal Springs, as some of the Friends of the Golf Course were very concerned about that. And there were several meetings at University of Maryland Alumni House about this proposed project. We made enough of a stance that the university relented and said that they will look at alternative options. One of the options that was given to them was the Paint Branch golf course. And to Councilmember Mackey's point is this: that's fine, that was an alternative option. The problem is the council, city council, nor the mayor was ever informed that that was the actual proposed uh, place that they were going to actually look into and actually further delve into and create a plan. So when we say that we're not at the table, we're not at the table at the beginning having discussions with the University of Maryland as well as park and planning. And it comes to light a couple of days before actual meeting to do the rollout, and residents are concerned. And they should be concerned because where was the transparency in regards to this, and why was it just thrust on us at the last minute? It could be several reasons why, but as I feel as a council member and elected official, I feel as though we're supposed to be an equal partnership. And when you do things like this, it eludes the trust with the entities such as University of Maryland Park and Planning and the county. So now I've heard from the residents in Otterville. I've heard from residents in Patricia Court. I've heard from residents in College Park Woods, and I don't blame them. And we've heard from Friends of the Paint Branch Golf Course about this project. It is our intent to have a presentation come to the council in regards to this. It is our intent to have a deeper dialogue with the university and help them to understand the concerns of Otterville and the other entities that are involved. You can't place a project if the people don't want it. When people are concerned, as Councilman Mackey said, about their home value, when they're concerned about noise, as well as increased traffic, we already have that on game day. That's a concern. Otterville is one small street with approximately 25 homes. They already have their traffic concerns. College Park Woods is only one way in, one way out. We don't need any other additional bottleneck. Crystal Springs is already 95% student-owned rentals and already has smaller streets. So you're adding additional traffic, foot traffic, car traffic. You're adding a lot of different layers to this picture, which are more negative than positive. But it has to start with bringing people to the table and asking their opinion. And that's the problem. That's the problem. So we will be working with Park and Planning and the rest of the entities to find a common solution. And it may not be one, but we will see. And if it's not one, then we will say that they need to fold this opportunity and not move forward.
Thank you, Mrs. Mitchell. It seems to be a running theme. There's a lot of entities involved, and there's a lot of concerns that put the city out of the direct path of doing the consensus of the residents, whether it's the University of Maryland, whether it's Park and Planning, whether it's the County Planning Board, whether it's the County Council, whether it's the state. What is the best way? I like the way you phrase kind of to come to the table, right? What is the best way that in the next 2 years, the city can position itself at the table of these different entities to get a more direct route for District 4 residents?
That's questions for me first.
It is. Yes. Yes.
Can you hear me?
I can. That question is for you first,
Can you hear
Mrs.
me?
Mitchell. I can hear you.
Okay. 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 Um, I like that question, and I like it because you're right. We need to have and consider in football a playbook as to what we're going to do in order to bring the people to our table or for us to have a seat at their table. Um, how can I say? It amazes me that people talk about collaboration on the county level and collaboration on the state level, but yet when things are put into place, they always forget about local government. Local government is we are the pulse of what is going on. And I say to people, if you want to get something done, you need to bring us to the table. Or if not, we're going to tell our residents no. So we need to have I say football because I love football, so I apologize. But we do need to have a better playbook that takes us through a first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter, and maybe overtime um, to figure out what is going to be our intentional plan to get our voices there to the table and move it forward. Because it's just once you're at the table, you can still be on the peripheral and be at the table. But what are we going to do with once we're there at the table? What steps are we going to take to ensure that every decision that is made, we are part of that decision process? So I think as a District 4 colleague, my colleague, I'm working with the 21st delegation, working with our district council, and any other entities. Um, we have to create a playbook, and we have to max it out and execute it intentionally.
Thank you, Mrs. Mitchell. And the same question for you, Mrs. Mackey. How can the city government empower itself when it's dealing with other entities?
Well, I love what my colleague said. I think that's a great idea. And one of the things that I would just like to add to that is that we need to be proactively meeting with the county council, with the state delegation, with the University of Maryland, with business owners, with residents, and make have like a proactive, let your voice be heard kind of forum in some way. And I think one of the I was on city council for 3 months and then we closed down. I mean, not closed down, but we weren't, a lot of things were canceled. A lot of meetings were canceled. And so we weren't really engaging. And I think it's really important for us to be engaging and, and to hear what what different people are thinking. What is the University of Maryland thinking? What is the county council thinking? What is Maryland Park and Planning thinking? What is the state thinking? I think that we need to come together and we need to set some goals and priorities, and we need to and be totally transparent with each other and totally engaging with each other. So that's what I would really like to see, is a way of having engagement and saying, okay, we have this problem. How are we going to address it? And have all the players there at a round table. And that was actually my colleague's idea for a lot of things, because when you're at a table, a round table, you all have equal distance, and you have the opportunity. Nobody is one leader. You're all equal and you all have a voice. So I think it's really important that we get community leaders and leaders in all the different legislative branches and the University of Maryland and businesses together to just talk about this and make a plan. And one of the things is I really think it's really important that we hear what people are saying.
Thank you, Mrs. Mackey. There are 2 questions that remain before closing statements. And the first of those 2 questions that remain go to you, Mrs. Mackey. The Tree and Landscaping Board has suggested the city take measures to preserve the tree canopy by focusing on the preservation of trees on residential properties. But residents have expressed concern about this. What can the city council do to support both the individual rights of homeowners and the sustainability of the tree canopy?
I knew this question was going to come. And one of the things that this is something that's very near and dear to me too. One of the things that I think is really important to realize is most people care about the tree canopy, and they know that it's an important part of our ecosystem, that it's important for we as humans and as stewards to take care of the trees, to make sure that they're well taken care of, and to also to plant more trees, and to be, to really increase our tree canopy. I don't think anyone is against that. What I think is really important is we had a lot of testimony at our public testimony, and I think it's really, really important that we listen to it. We had some great ideas that came. I'm not discounting the work of the Tree and Landscape Board, um, but there were some ideas, some new ideas, some new thoughts. And I think that it's really important that we listen to what the people said. Um, I know here in District 4, there are a few residents that are very adamantly opposed to having their personal right for tree care to be taken away, and they want to know why it would be taken away. And I don't think it should be taken away. I think that our residents are generally very good at taking care of their trees, and so it really is a tough issue. I think the city has made some strides in trying to increase tree planting, but I think we need to make more strides. I'm a big advocate of the tiny urban forests, of tree planting in small spaces, and not developing everything that's green, and getting trees planted there. And I think that we can do it. Um, I'm I'm not pro the punitive measures, and so I don't really want to be involved in punitive measures. I'm of the mind that um, you accomplish more with honey than you do with vinegar, and so I would like to see that kind of um, thing done in with regard to the tree canopy. It's a tough issue, it's a controversial issue, but I think that we can come to a good place when we listen to what the people say, because there were a lot of really good thoughts put out on the table that night that we had public comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Mackey. And the same question to you, Mrs. Mitchell.
Thank you. The tree canopy uh, ordinance is one that I believe we have to look at the process, and the process needed to be one that should have been refined after November, when we had the public forum for our residents, and several residents made input upon that. From the public forum, we should have really done some education from November until July, talking about the proposed um, tree canopy, um, and the reason why we are looking into this. From that, we could have discerned a better way of handling the decision making instead of what we have currently. Councilmember Mackey and myself, we held approximately maybe 2 forums for our own district for residents. And again, she's right. We heard some very good ideas about the tree canopy. No resident doesn't want to feel like they are being penalized because they are already paying taxes to the city. um, they want to be heard. But I think at the end of the day, we have to strike a balance of what we're really looking for. We don't want to be, if we're talking about sustainability, then why are we cutting trees? Um, so we need to define what we're looking for. We need to define what our process was going to be. But now that we have received comments from many residents, and some of them again are very good, then we need to take those comments and then find a good plan, if possible, and then go back out and listen and talk to the residents in town halls virtually, and then and see if this is the right ordinance at the right time. And it may not be, but we need to do a better process.
Thank you, Mrs. Mitchell. And you will receive the first response to the last question before closing statements.
Okay.
So thank you both again for bearing with me tonight. Negotiations with VO Ride, the company servicing scooter rentals in the city, have been extended to the end of the month. What would you like to see come from these negotiations?
Thank you so much for that question. When I have a VO ride in front of my house. Okay. So let me just say, I understand that the VO ride provides access and another mode of transportation for our students, and I have no problem with that. The concern is the accountability and the quality assurance. It's causing a public safety to our residents when they have VO rides left in the middle of the street on the side of the road. So there needs to be a better process. I will tell you currently, I'm very hesitant about approving an additional contract when the parties have not proven currently that they're able to do the job. They have not looked at they have not looked at opportunities to create additional hubs. We've said in District 4, there's many places in District 4 that you can put a hub for to put the bikes. No one has come out to even talk to us. So at this current state, I'm very reluctant, but I know it's a need and necessity for our students who reside here to get to campus as another mode of transportation. They really going to have to show me a good quality assurance plan and accountability for me to approve it.
Thank you, Mrs. Mitchell. And same question to you, Mrs. Mackey.
Yes, I too support the idea of having these scooters and bicycles available to our students and to our residents. I think it's a very important thing. I think it's a great thing, but I have a lot of concern. And my concern is their model. I think their model has some flaws in it. I've asked this question several times, like, do you know where these bikes and scooters are being left? Because they're being left, I mean, you can see them on the Paint Branch Trail. I mean, just in District 4, if you take a walk, they're in your walking path. I've heard that they've been left in handicapped parking spots. And so VO Ride has to have some accountability. They need to be able to know where their bikes and scooters are being left so that they can be gathered up. I know that sometimes I call myself the VO Ride, police, because I'm always calling VO Ride and saying, there's a scooter left at the top of Limestone Place and, Dewberry or something. And we've had times where, the young people have come to, let's say, a party in College Park Woods and left 12 VO rides on someone's lawn. So, and we even had a time where an elderly person tripped over one while they were walking their dog. So I'm very concerned about the same things my colleague said, the hubs. I've been asking for a hub in District 4 since VO started because I always see them. That being said, I think it's an important thing. So VO Ride, if they really want their contract renewed, they're going to have to do some better customer service and better pleasing to the city. And I hope they move in that direction, but I haven't seen it so far. And thank you.
Yes, thank you, Mrs. Mackey. And again, thank you both for joining us tonight. It is the time for closing statements. I have a question to help your closing statement along if you've just had enough of me by yet, but this acts as your closing statement, so you can really answer this question and then add anything you want. But what is your favorite part of living in District 4?
Oh,
That's a great one. I love District 4. I love College Park. College Park Woods. I grew up here. My mother still lives here. I love the fact that when I walk on the streets, I know people and they know me. I love the community engagement that we have in District 4. And I've loved the opportunity to get to know the other communities in District 4. You know, I grew up in College Park Woods. I raised my 5 children in College Park Woods. My husband and I, and some of our children still live with us in College Park Woods. My mom lives here. And I've been involved in a lot of different groups in College Park Woods, but I've really enjoyed getting to know the different communities, the Cherry Hill community, and I'm hoping to get to know the Ottoville community better. I didn't do the best job getting to know them, but what I love about District 4 is that I think that people really care about each other, and they're really very concerned about the well-being and the quality of life here in District 4, and they keep us on our toes, don't they? And they let us know, you know, different things, and they're very engaged. And so I love living here. I think it's a great place to live, and I'm very thankful for the privilege to be able to serve on the city council and be the voice of my District 4 neighbors and be able to speak for them on city council. And that's why I ran, and that's what I really plan to do in the next 2 years. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Mackey. And Mrs. Mitchell.
Well, first of all, thank you for the opportunity to come tonight and speak to the residents of District 4, and thank you for holding this forum. Because again, with this COVID, it was difficult to have any kind of public forums. College Park is home. There's no place like home. And living in District 4 has been that for me since my parents, who recently are deceased, and myself since 1975. When you, again, I went to school in Jersey, and when you come down 95 and you make that right turn on the Metzerock Road, it's just like a feeling of, oh, I'm home. I'm here with my community. I'm here with my extended family. So it's been an honor and a privilege to serve for almost 10 years on the city council, and for people to come to you very willingly to express their concerns. And I have had the opportunity to help solve some of their problems, but to be their voice. And I hope to continue to be that voice on November the 7th. I want to close with 3 main points when I think about as far as my platform. The City of College Park is one College Park. We have maybe 27 different entities of communities, all different, but it's exciting because you can go to one place and see something different, or the feel is different. But we are one College Park, and we are going to continue to creating that one College Park thing. I also want to say to my listeners and the voters out there that I want to continue advancing a progressive education system that creates a strong elementary school on Cherokee Lane. And I also want to talk about and look at working at aiding small and minority-owned businesses to help expand our economic development. But I can't do this alone. And so we have to work together collaboratively, honestly, having honest conversations, working through our strategic plan to create that one College Park. So I hope on November 7th, I will have the opportunity to do that and execute some of these ideas with a collective council, mayor and council. And I'm just excited about the opportunity. And again, there's no place like home, and I am not going anywhere.
Well, thank you, Mrs. Mitchell. And once again, thank you both, Denise Mitchell, Maria Mackey, joining us at the Here and Now 2021 College Park District 4 Election Forum. Really, thank you both for your service, and also thank you for being here tonight.
Well, thank you for your leadership.
Yes,
This
thank
concludes. Go ahead.
No, I just was saying thank you for what you did.
Absolutely. Well, you're very welcome, and really, thanks are all around, because we're very happy to be here and serving the community alongside you. This concludes tonight's forum with your 2 candidates for the District 4 City Council. On behalf of Streetcar Suburbs Publishing and the College Park Here and Now, I'd like to thank you for joining us. If you have any questions about how this forum was conducted, please email me at mark@hyattsvillelife.com. My email is also printed in each month's edition, and the next edition should arrive October 13th. Please do reach out to us if you have any interest in writing news tips, just to say hello. We're an open book to hear your thoughts, concerns, and also to use your talents. You are a lifeline and our pipeline to what is important in the city. So thank you once again. Thank you both council members for sharing your time with us tonight, and good night, everyone.
Good night.